This is the future.
What's up, guys? It's Rich here, and we are not quite mint. You can see, obviously, over here, Tom is still on holiday. But if you've been paying attention to thumbnails and bits and bobs that we've been talking about, we have got a special guest for you today. So I am going to bring in our special guest, which is Comico Deano. How are you doing, Comico Deano?
I am all good, my friend. How are you?
It's all good. It's all good. And we're here to review this week's comics, aren't we? So something that we do every Thursday, and we've been starting to have new other channels on with us. Hence why, obviously, Dino's here in place of Tom. We'll never replace you, Tom, though. I know I was pulling your leg earlier on, but Tom's back.
I'm here to stay, Tom. I'm not leaving.
So yeah, do go and check out obviously Comico Deano's channel. Go and sub him up and hit a load of likes on his videos and all the rest of it, because that's really cool. But obviously, if you are new to our channel as well, do obviously give us a thumbs up for obviously this video, and obviously hit that subscribe button. We have obviously the bell as well, so you don't miss any of our content. We're live on Tuesday nights and Thursday nights with keys on Tuesdays and reviews on Thursdays, and then we do unboxings and stuff like that as well. But enough about us. We've got quite a lot of comics to talk about, haven't we, mate?
Oh yeah, we do. big list this week.
It is. And we suffered from that whole thing in the UK because we didn't get any deliveries last week, did we? So
no.
There was a lot of reading to do, but we are only going to be reviewing this week's comics because obviously we would be here all week, I think, if we didn't. But
I got nowhere to be. It's fine.
You got nowhere to be. Just keep back, relax. So yeah, so what did you think this week then? We kind of pleasantly surprised overall. Did you think you had some disappointments in there, mate?
Overall, the books I thought I was going to really enjoy kind of let me down a little bit, and the books that I thought I maybe wouldn't enjoy kind of surprised me. Yeah, I think that's a fair summary for me this week.
Yeah, it was a funny one because like last week there were quite a few really good like independent titles, and this week I haven't read one independent title, I don't think, looking at my list. Everything was like the big two, either DC or Marvel. So a real peculiar one for you, for me. I know you've read at least one indie, haven't you? So I don't know if you want to start there with one of your notable reads.
Yeah, can do. My notable read, I suppose, would be Blade Runner 2019, and we're on issue 10 this week. And I've been recommending this since the start. I picked it up from the beginning, and I think this is a really underrated comic book at the moment. If you're fans of Blade Runner, the whole universe is there, the vibe is there, the atmosphere is there. This is one you should be reading. If you're a fan of Blade Runner or sci-fi in general, this is a book you should read, in my opinion.
Cool. I mean, I was going to say to you, like, this is one of those ones that I saw in previews, and obviously there's so many books that are on my pull list at the moment, but I absolutely loved the original Blade Runners. I mean, I was like, because haven't we passed the date of where in the original Blade Runner film, haven't we hit that date that was portrayed in the original Blade Runner film?
Oh yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and like they thought when I think I watched it, I thought, God, we're going to have flying cars and stuff like that, and yeah, we haven't got flying cars.
I'll settle for a hoverboard, if I'm honest with you.
Cool. So what's have you got, like, is it the same kind of characters that we had in the film, or is it complete?
No. This follows Anna, who's a kind of a more modern bounty hunter. She's a woman, and she's really complex character. She's got like layers, and I love it when they do that in writing with characters. She can't actually walk, so she's got this kind of metal spine brace, from the future and stuff that she has to charge up. It's brilliant, honestly. It's full of little kind of parts of attention to detail like that. It's great.
I like it. I mean, it's one of those ones that I think, again, if I ever get round to, reading a trade or something like that, I think it's something that I definitely would like to try out as much as I can. I mean, I did. It's not really much of a mention, but obviously this week we got one Star Wars release, which was the Bounty Hunters. And it was okay. There's not a lot really to talk about. It's quite cool because there was a big fight with Boba Fett, and sort of introducing a few like new characters. Like obviously, it's I think Valance, who's the main kind of bounty hunter, who's like the good guy. Although he's a bit of an anti-hero type of bounty hunter. Boba Fett was prominent in this. Lots of big fights going on. And it's cool because obviously they all tie in between Return of the Jedi and obviously Empire Strikes Back that came slightly before, but it's on a complete much like obviously with the Blade Runner, as you just said, it's completely on a different timeline in terms of the stories that are being told. There are all these untold stories that are ultimately canon to the Star Wars universe, and all the characters are as well, which is where it's kind of interesting. But I like it, and it just has that sort of those nice little threads that you've probably referred to with Blade Runner of just, do you know what I mean, just being a bit.
Yeah, the only thing I found with this, Rich, was I found it all action and no substance for me. This particular issue, it was like a great fight scene. It was all pretty epic and stuff. But yeah, I just found it was all action and kind of not really a lot of substance in the writing. Did you find that?
Yeah, I was that was kind of where I was going with it, in the sense that there's not a great deal to actually talk about. It was literally one big fight scene, and I like that kind of a comic, but I think with this one there was the dialogue that was in there, because he was dealing with some pretty dark stuff, because they had the fight, and then obviously these the two sort of characters in there there's a separation that takes place. Then Valance manages to escape, having a little bit of a very, very short sort of touching conversation with one of the characters, and then the next thing they're just blasting off into space, aren't they? And it's kind of and that's the end. But it is a very action-paced, fast-paced. I mean, I think it's Lee Bermeo again who's doing the covers on this, so the artwork and things like that are just absolutely outstanding.
Yeah, that's one thing about this book. The art on it was really good. Like I say, those fight scenes, even though it was just kind of more full of action than substance, the art is really good.
That's it. We've got some of our friends in the chat tonight already as well. So we've got Luke from Hydra. How you doing, mate? We've got Tom. We have got we've got a name update on Tom's channel as well, I believe. Is that right? T1 Collectibles and Gamings, is that right? But so we know what's coming there.
He's had his first plug. Well done.
Yeah, go and sub him up. And then we've got Ben, of course, mighty Ben. How you doing, Mr. Straight Out to Crampton? And we've just had Lee pop in from Retro Cave, so thanks ever so much for coming along, Lee. As I say, everybody, if anybody's watching this video, go and check out obviously the chat, and again show your support to the UK community with all these guys who are showing their presence this evening. So thanks ever so much for coming along, guys. That's awesome. So I think we've got a couple more mentionables. So we're going to go with this one. So this was Suicide Squad. So do you want to start off with this one, Lena?
Yeah, this was one of those. I said at the beginning, the ones that I thought were going to impress me didn't, and this was one of them. I'll be honest with you, I'm going to sound really harsh, but it just fell short for me. Suicide Squad issue 9. The whole thing about Deadshot being killed, and it just felt that it was all rushed. It all went by very quickly, and it didn't seem very dramatic, considering Deadshot's quite a prominent character for DC. I just don't think it. One, I don't think it did it justice, and two, I don't believe he's staying dead anyway. In my opinion,
Nobody stays dead in comics, do they?
exactly. And yeah, I'll be honest with you. For me, just to summarize it, I really don't have a lot of nice things to say about this issue. It went by too quick. It was too breezy. Don't get me wrong. I like the way that they kind of did Black Mask disguised as Superman. I liked the ideas. It just seemed incredibly rushed, and it all went by far too quickly. And seeing as we're talking about Deadshot, it should have been a bit more meatier, in my opinion.
Yeah, I got that kind of impression. I mean, I read it, and I think the last Suicide Squad that I'd read was where they introduced, was it issue 7, so a couple of issues about where they introduced his daughter as that live shot type of character. So I read that because it obviously had appeared on our key list, and again, obviously we mentioned this one purely because it was, obviously, built. That's what this sort of story arc's been building up to a little bit. And yeah, I kind of liked that twist, as you mentioned, with Superman and Black Mask. I didn't necessarily expect that, but again, without having read a vast amount of Suicide Squad over the years, I was like, for me, it kind of like it was what I'd expected, so I wasn't overly disappointed. But in the grand scheme of things, yeah, Deadshot, I can't imagine that he's going to stay dead, or if it even be dead. But because, as you say, it just seemed to happen very, very quickly after the twist, with no real major explanation, and it was like, there didn't really seem to be a great deal of build up to it. I don't know if I'm right in saying that. So
I think it's fine.
I do get what you're saying. So yeah, so it didn't make obviously our top list. We've got GP Venom in the house as well now. How you doing, mate?
GP.
We're sounding like a pair of hype guys, aren't we, or whatever? So
doing it like the Americans, GP mofo.
Hey, come on, we've got to be fair to the, we had the Rod that we're on Rod the Recons channel at the weekend. So
what a blast that was! That was great.
So I swear he didn't think, he had no idea what was going on with us lot. He just kind of like just let us just like get on with it, I think. But yeah, it's good. We
were very chaotic, weren't we? I think.
Well, yeah, especially when Geeky Guy took his top off. So
say no more.
But yeah, should check that out. Right then, so this was one of the ones that this is going to be an interesting one because I really enjoyed this, and this didn't make your top 5 at all, did it? So another notable one that we're going to talk about, and this is Fantastic Four Antithesis, issue 2. Now I'm a bit of a sort of I like Fantastic Four. I've always liked the idea of them. I'm one of those saddos who liked all of the films, even though they were awful. And I think, I don't know, I've always liked them, and they've always had, like, my dad's had a few, like, quite a lot of like Fantastic Four comics, and I'd read them, and I knew a bit about the mythology and stuff, and I've started trying to put together a bit of a run on Fantastic Four. So for me, I read issue 1 and I loved it. I liked the classic sort of feel. I liked that it was slightly out of continuity. Well, so massively out of continuity. I liked the fact that you had like Silver Surfer coming in, and you've got Galactus and everything else. And this whole idea of there being an antithesis of Galactus, I liked that thing. And we obviously got that payoff in this issue. So I was a satisfied customer. I think that's the best way of saying it. And I kind of liked the story, and I will be honest, it did feel quite cheesy in a bit. It was a little bit predictable, a little bit campy in parts, and a bit like, oh no, like I was waiting for like Batman to come along and start throwing out the pows and the poofs and stuff. Do you know what I mean? It really did hit that classic mark. But for me, it was like sort of, probably in my top 5, maybe 4 or 5 behind the other books. But what did you think, Dino?
I think it didn't make my top 5 for a lot of the reasons that you say it did make your top 5. Again, that continuity situation, I'm kind of here and there on that. I find it a bit wishy-washy. And yeah, I talk about comic book tropes. Wow, that like you said, that's got a lot of them in there, and I know you either love or hate that, and I love it in the older gold and silver age stuff, and even a little bit of bronze, but like in modern stuff, I think I would want more from this. I think that's my issue with it.
Yeah, I think you're right, and like whereas I approach this kind of expecting that with the whole Mark Waid, Neil Adams sort of creative team on there, I kind of wanted that thing, and because I'm reading all of the old Fantastic Four stuff, I kind of like that as a bit of light relief from some of the real dark and heavy stuff that we get in, sort of with like Venom and Thor and some of the other stuff that I like to read, like Sandman and things like that.
You mean you don't find Venom light?
I don't, not particularly.
What's wrong with you?
I love it, but I'm not like, do you know what I mean? So like just to have that kind of feel of a classic kind of that classic feel, I really did like that. And yeah, it was, as Ben says, Fantastic Four, cheesy camp, never indeed. But yeah, that was I liked Antithetics.
I think you're right. I think if people enjoy that, I think this is where this is a very Marmite book. If you enjoy that, I think you will love this. If you don't, then I think you probably won't get on board with it.
Yeah. It's probably because you're not the biggest fan of Superman's current run, is that right? Or
no, I wasn't. I thought it was a bit rubbish, but I think it's got good again now.
It got better more recently, but yeah, I think it's probably, I don't know. I haven't been watching that, so it's sort of like it's just interesting because I like that kind of like more classic sort of tale from time to time, just as a bit of it's just a bit different to what I tend to get drawn to, I think. So broadening horizons. We've just had comics gaming figures pop in, so yeah, thanks for popping in again, mate. That's absolutely amazing.
What's up, CGF? I'm doing my American thing again.
CGF, mate, you carry on. That's it. Spending all this time with Rod and Roderick and the American
it's rubbing off.
It's awesome, yeah. But right then, so we're finally into our top 5, aren't we?
Yeah.
Finally. So top 5. Number 5, and I'll let you start on this one, mate. We have got Immortal She-Hulk 1. What did you think of this?
Again, this is one of those books that I thought was going to impress me, and I think for me it fell flat. It literally went. I found this. I mean, don't get me wrong. The Alex Ross cover variant on this is just it's beautiful. But the actual story in this, it just seemed like a summary issue to me. It was just kind of summarizing kind of things we've kind of seen here and there of She-Hulk, and it honestly left me at the end of it. I was kind of going, but what's the point of this? What is this actually showing me? Where is this going? That's how I kind of felt about it. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's a funny one. I think it. Again, it ticked all the boxes. So I think I'm up to about issue 25 on Immortal Hulk, and I bought a couple of the trades, and I really, really like that. And I know that I need to start reading Immortal Hulk again because we've got. I think it's like the leaders obviously playing a big part. He obviously shows up in this one as well.
He does.
So I'm aware of everything that's going on currently, but I need to fill that gap to really catch up with everything that's happening with the leader. But when I read Empire, a lot of the hype around Empire was, death of a character and all this type of stuff. And when things actually happened in Empire, they happened with no explanation. And it was just like, it was billed to be like this, like, important event, important death. But it completely missed the mark, I felt, in the actual Empire run. Whereas if they possibly would have seeded some of the things out of this one shot into the story somehow, when and because I think it was supposed to be quite shocking what happened to the Immortal She-Hulk. But then when you read this one shot, you find out actually it's the third time that she's died. And the first time was obviously back in like the Civil War II whole arc. And she died in the in-betweeny bit as well. And it was kind of like, yeah, it ticked all the boxes to explain what had happened to her with that whole when she goes into the, you know, the what lies below and all that, you know, and, you know, she sees, is it Bruce Banner's dad and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So that felt very true to me for the Immortal Hulk stuff. But as you said, it kind of, it was flat because it was sort of like she was just going on like a bit of a personal journey with it. Do you know what I mean? Like, and it was all a lot of dialogue, a little bit of chat and stuff. So yeah, I get where you come there, and that's why I've put it. For me, it was sort of like on that, you know, number 5, purely because I was a bit.
I think you're right. If you're enjoying Immortal Hulk,
yeah,
then yeah, you're probably going to dig this. You know, just as that kind of like extra little bit of information that you get in there and all of that. But I think I couldn't escape the feeling at the end of it where I was kind of like, well, so what? You know, what am I going to do with that? Do you know what I mean? I had that feeling after reading it.
No, it's yeah, I know what you mean. I felt like it was sort of like I liked the bits where it was explained where she was in, you know, below and the whole thing with the leader, because that has obviously just happened in Immortal Hulk with the whole
and the little green door,
control of the green door, and it's now like a red door and all that type of stuff. And you know, we're not gonna be able to see these resurrected Gamma people anymore because he's in control of the door, and that's I like that, quite cool. Like, but as you say, those bits in between when she was talking to Thor, it just, yeah, it felt a bit flat, a bit muted. So yeah, I do get that, but that's why it wasn't like, oh my god, this is the best thing I've ever read. It's important, I think, for people to read it who are Immortal Hulk people.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I think as well, I think it was maybe my own expectation limited it as well, because for a character that is really gearing up right now, you know, for some big things coming, I expected more from this. I thought this was going to be a kind of wow, you know, and I kind of read it and I was all like, Yeah,
it'd be so cool if they could touch on the whole Immortal Hulk, you know, immortality aspects within like the Disney Plus stuff. But I think we'll get more of like an origin, you know, type of series with that. But who knows?
Oh yeah.
Just obviously just a bit of a promotion for old Hydra over there. He's just saying anybody, he's finished editing his bonus video and he's putting a bonus video up at 8 o'clock tonight. So
no one cares.
No one cares. Nice one. But yeah, so when everybody's had their tea or whatever, they can go and watch the Hydra video. So that's a nice little one. So this one is. I'm kind of, this one's growing on me, this next one, mate. But I'll let you lead the way with this one. So Juggernaut.
This was one of those ones I thought was going to be rubbish, and I actually enjoyed it. My only criticism of this is that it was really too short. It was really quick. It went by like that. But it's great to see the Juggernaut back. Typical kind of vibe you get from the Juggernaut, and I love the new character, Diesel. Yeah, loved it. I thought she was great, and that again, maybe another little criticism is we didn't see enough of her, but you know, maybe that's going to come. But yeah, I thought she was a great addition to and that power of being able to kinetically slow things down. That could really unbalance a lot of mutants if you bring her into other books and cross her paths with other X-Men and other mutants.
Yeah, I think it was. I think when we mentioned it on the keys on Tuesday, I think was it. I think it was yourself and Hydra potentially who said like, you know, there's people like Gambit, like was it Cannonball, and you know, there's a lot of like some of like the speedster type of characters who could really be badly like affected by Diesel if that's her power. I mean,
yeah, we really saw her. I mean, she didn't stop the Juggernaut, did she?
No, she
but she really slowed him down to a crawl, and I think she asks him, doesn't she, at one point? She says, "Why don't you stop?" As she's kind of like slowing him down, and he says, "I don't know how," which I thought was brilliant.
Yeah, it's one of those like really, yeah, like you said, I think I read it and probably exactly what you said. It was over so quick, so that kind of made, so for me it was like, yeah, it was good, but and that's probably not a bad thing that you want to read more after reading this. Yeah, D-Cell kind of, I like D-Cell. She had that kind of, she felt a bit like Miles Morales-y to me, a bit.
Yeah, very millennial, very kind of hip.
Yeah,
with a bit of kind of prankster to them. Yeah, I definitely get what you mean there. Yeah.
You know, so I kind of, you know, I like that because I do like Miles Morales, like, but yeah, Juggernaut definitely well worth checking out, I think. But yeah, certainly, I think it's like a 4 or 5 parter, isn't it? So
yeah, it's a mini.
It's just ever so cheap. It'll be over before we know it by the looks of it.
It just for an issue 1 and for a character as kind of special as the Juggernaut, you know, like him getting his own thing. We should have had a thicker number 1 issue that's my only criticism, really.
Yeah, they do normally do that with like Wolverine and stuff, but obviously like they're obviously billing the next issue that it's going to be Juggernaut and Hulk, aren't they? So it's, you know, we'll see.
No, that looks exciting. That definitely looks like a Juggernaut and Hulk fight. I'm all over that.
I know Tom definitely was looking forward to Juggernaut. He was one of the ones that he was.
And place your bets in the chat. Who's going to win, Hulk or Juggernaut?
Hulk or Juggernaut. Place your bets now, please. But yeah, and then well, just so we got Hydra there saying that so hurtful, Dino.
I'm sorry.
Maybe because Dino was so mean to me, I really miss Tom. So he's not making any friends there at all, is he? That's all. Well, you never know. Tom might invite him to be his guest house when I'm on holiday in a couple of weeks, so you never know.
I'm sorry, Luke.
No, poor Luke. Give him a cup of tea. It'll be all right. Right then. So we're moving on to a bit of a mashup now. And I just need to, there we go, that's the one, I think. So this is a mashup between Speed Metal and the one I put up earlier and Flash, because there was a little bit there was a bit of a sort of a mashup element, I thought, with this, and they kind of played into each other a little bit. So obviously, big feature on this channel at the moment is our sort of appreciation of death metal. Real feels like a bit of a return to form for DC, I think, and just been really enjoying it. There's a lot to take in with the themes of it, because they're talking about like past crises and all that type of stuff. But this one, it just, for me, it just felt like a really good story, and I've been really enjoying these tie-ins to the main death metal stuff. And there's a bit in this where they where it, as I say, ties directly in with what happened in Flash 762, which came out this week, where they go, like, they're in the like the Flash museum, and they talk about the Reverse Flash and sort of like some of the events that happened in that 762 crossed over into that. So I like that, because I do like a crossover, a little bit of a tie-in. And I just thought there was an element to this which, again, did kind of concern me, in the sense of they sort of go after the Morbius chair, and all that kind of happens a little bit too conveniently, possibly.
Yeah.
But still, up until like that kind of point, it was quite good, and it, you know, sort of brought the Flash family together a little bit, like what we've seen in Batman with like the Joker War, where Batman's got all these cronies together. We saw like the Flash family properly come together, and I thought I like that, and you know, we're definitely moving towards that culmination of death metal now. So, what did you think?
I thought it was great. I loved the kind of resolution. I thought that was done really well. The resolution between Flash and Reverse Flash. I thought that was a nice little tale as old as time about how, you know, the power of forgiveness. and repeating your mistakes and stuff. I thought it was a really heartfelt message in that. And yeah, and I did love the way that it tied into speed metal. I sadly I don't kind of share the love you guys do here. For shall I just leave now? Shall I just go?
No, mate, this is rather than me and Tom agreeing with each other all the time.
Like I like it, I really do, and I know it's probably me. It's just I feel like I need to read another book just to understand what's going on in this book sometimes, and that's okay with me now and again. But it seems to happen quite a lot with the Dark Knight's death metal with me. I'm like, okay, I need to go, and I guess that this is why people like this so much. This is like for if you've got like hardcore knowledge, man. This is the thing, in that you're going to really dig this. But yeah, sometimes it gets a bit beyond me. And I don't like that. It makes me feel stupid. I know I'm stupid. I don't need to be reminded. DC, you're listening.
Too hard on yourself. I'll be honest, it's one of those. I've read. I was always sort of like in the early 2000s and stuff like that. I was always like an event collector. So it was sort of like. I read, I collected, Final Crisis, Infinite Crisis, all of those types of things, and read them a very, very long time ago. So I don't know whether it's just me seeing how they've kind of incorporated that history of the DC universe into this book, as well as having like really good, interesting sort of characters. Obviously, I know me and Tom went to town and totally slagged off the first appearance of the Robin King. Slightly, but it's been I think I've found it a really cool series, and again, this was in its own right a really good sort of like story that made sense pretty much, and was just a really really satisfying read, I thought.
All right, stop rubbing it in. You're like, oh, it made sense to me, Dean.
But
I get it. I'm thick. I get this. I understand.
Did you read Trinity Crisis? The other. Have you read that one shot?
No, that's one I haven't read yet. No, I've got that here actually because I have been collecting all of this Dark Knight stuff, but a few of them I've not got round to reading. So maybe that's it. Maybe I just need to go through and spend some more time with it for me.
Yeah.
Maybe.
One thing that I would say that I've found with this is certainly the main series is like clattering on at a really, really fast pace, and there's loads and loads happening. I have found that like a lot of the add-ons have been like essential reading to sort of make sense of actually what's happening. So it's that whole concept with this that you've got Perpetua obviously feeding off the crisis energy that is being created in the Dark Multiverse from their own three crisis worlds, and they're all feeding each other and then feeding Perpetua. So you've got obviously Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, and everybody going off and dealing with those, like that trinity of crises, where you've got obviously it ties in with the Speed Force, which is again obviously an energy source to all the bad guys, and obviously the Flash effectively they're running to keep control of the Speed Force. So without maybe having that like if you haven't read the Trinity Crisis one, it's like that'll be that does tie in to this and into the main.
I will say it made me tired reading this. There is an awful lot of running goes on in this book. Maybe that put me off as well. I'm like, I don't want to do that much running.
It is a bit of a tiring one, to be fair, but yeah, it was that, and that's where I think I came from. That I really liked it, but again, worthwhile mention, obviously, the Flash book as well. That was such a good because is it Josh Williamson who's writing that?
I think so, yeah.
But he's again, I've not read many of his books, but again, really did enjoy that sort of whole write-up.
It was nice to see in Speed Metal the whole Flash family together again, though. It was nice to see that.
Yeah, you're right. Well, and that was it. I kind of like the jokes as well with Wally and saying that his wife liked him in the blue suit and stuff like that. Just like little quips like that.
And it was nice to see Wally get some recognition as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really was.
Definitely that like passing of the mantle, wasn't there, between Barry, isn't it, and Barry and Wally. So there was that passing of that, like, it's your time now, so you lead the way kind of thing. And yeah, it was cool. That was. I agree, mate. Awesome. So we are into our top two, and I'm so interested to hear what you've got to say about this one, because for a Luddite X-Men fan like myself, I really enjoyed this, and this was probably my most enjoyable overall book of the week. But you talk to me about, Dino, because this was your number two, wasn't it? So
technically, it was my number two, but technically, I agree with you. Like, it would be my number one, but I'm holding myself back here a little bit because, again, this is kind of like, it's great for me. As a huge X-Men fan, it's brilliant. But I just think, God, I feel sorry for them people who've never read any X-Men and they're going to go and pick this book up. Like, it is convoluted. It is a heavy read again from Hickman. It is chunky. It's full of history. It's full of facts. There's a lot in it, and that's why I kind of bumped it down to number two, because, to try and give a fair assessment and a fair review of that, I just think if I was like a young kid and I'm kind of going, right, I've never read X-Men, I'm picking this up, I would have been like, that's it. I'm never sleeping again ever, because I'm just going to have to go and read every X-Men thing ever done just so I can kind of get into this,
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm like, I've like Tom, good old Tom, is on holiday. If you didn't know, he's he's a massive X-Men fan, and I'm definitely kind of I'd probably like, in my head, I like the X-Men more than, say, I do like Fantastic Four, but that's probably based on Saturday morning cartoons and the movies and things like that, rather than actually reading a vast amount of the X-Men books. So like I've read like X-Men in the past, but I'd never read sort of like the X Factors and X Force and all of those. I'd never read any of those historically. And again, it's that whole thing that I've said before about Amazing Spider-Man and Superman. Why I don't really read a lot of that now is because there's so much that's happened. It's just not knowing where to jump in. And I think X-Men is one of those. But I will be honest, I read this, having read, I've been reading obviously the sort of like the preludes to this event. So I read X-Men 12 last week. I've read X-Men 11 with the Magneto and the end of the Empire. And then I've read a couple of the other ones like X-Force. I've been reading that one. I've been reading the new X Factor as well. And so I feel like I'm kind of okay. So I wasn't overwhelmed with this. And I kind of like the concept of the whole thing, and I know.
I can see why you dig it, mate, because it's definitely got a more Star Wars vibe about it. This one has, compared to like House of X and Powers of 10. This has definitely shifted more towards a kind of Star Wars feel, I think, with the vibe of it. But it's just all the convolutedness in there. Like, I like that as an X-Men fan. So maybe I should have stuck to my guns and just said, you know what, go with it, Dean. Be selfish, put it as number one thing. But that just held me back a bit, because sometimes I do think from other people's perspective, and I think this is tied into so many things. Again, it's tied into the House of the Powers. It's tied into the Dawn of X run. It's tied into bits of Empire, like you said as well, that we're probably going to see come over. It's tied into lots of mutants. It's tied into the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. There's so much stuff going on there, which is great for an X-Men fan. But I just think, wow, you know what I mean? Like, if you want an easy read, don't pick this book up. I think, it's a heavy one,
Yeah. I think it's one of those as well. Like, I've grown up reading a lot of like fantasy novels over time. So like things like, like Wheel of Time is probably one of my favorite books. Obviously, I've read like Lord of the Rings and things like that. So for me, it had that kind of like, I really did really liked it, because it sort of had that, like, we have multiple realms and multiple beings from those realms, and they've all got these different sort of ideologies and structures. And so for me, that was like almost like a side of the X-Men that I've not really seen, for myself. The whole like the Saturnine queen type person up in her what is it, the Starlight Citadel and stuff like that.
That's right. Yeah.
I like that. That's very like fantasy, high fantasy, like you say, Star Wars, and so yeah, I really, really love this. And
that's nice to hear, though, mate. It's not, as somebody like you said, that's not really a huge X person.
Yeah, well, 100%.
It's good to hear that you've picked that up and you're kind of like, yep, I'm on board. That is cool.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the whole. I wasn't too sure when I read it. I was like, oh, because I know a bit about Apocalypse and what he means in terms of like, how horrendously big bad he has been over the course of, like in X-Men. And I was wondering, I don't want to do any like major spoilers, but were you happy with the way that he was depicted in this? Was that accurate, do you think? Or
I don't know. He's been through a lot. Old Apocalypse. He's been through some changes, especially through the House and Powers, and then the dawn of stuff. The dawn of X stuff has been pretty interwoven around him in parts, particularly regarding a new person that's appeared earlier on in that, and now this is kind of because of that person. We're kind of getting a lot of what we're seeing in this now. I'm trying to be really vague so not to spoil any of this.
Difficult, isn't it?
Yeah, it is with these books because, like I say, they're so linked together. But yeah, I don't have a problem with Apocalypse, to be honest. I found it more weirder that to see him in a suit and tie in one of the House and Powers issues when he would become an ambassador. I think that was more weird.
I think I read that one, and it was he was like going to like some kind of negotiation, but they all ended up fighting each other again, and that was, I think, what's been one of my problems has been, no matter where they've gone and what they've been doing with a lot of like this like Dawn of X books, is like that conflict within the mutants is still there despite them having.
But I like that. I think that's another thing with the mutants. I think the main pull of them is that kind of. They're almost parody fables of humanity, and like in humanity, it doesn't matter, where you come from, or, we're all the same like that, yet we still all fight, you know what I mean? So I kind of like that it crosses over and it runs parallel to kind of real life for me, and how they kind of portray those things.
You couldn't stay away. Tom couldn't stay away. So
go away, Tom, you're on holiday. You're not allowed to watch.
Thought he'd pop in whilst he got signal to say hi. So yeah, Brummy takeover, rebranding the channel to not quite Tom. That's what it is. It's not his band. But yeah, no. Thanks for popping in, Tom. It's all good. Brummy takeover. Everybody's going to know what's going on, aren't they? We'll be saying duck and chuck and stuff soon. It's going to be
yam all right.
Yam all right. Yeah, getting proper yams everywhere. But yeah, definitely, I liked it, and it's 100%. Like, I can't wait. I mean, it's 22 parts, which is insane. But
I think that's the point I'm getting at. Like, overall, this is going to be a heavy. But if you thought when House and Powers came out, people were saying how that was kind of convoluted. This, to me, is going to surpass House and Powers in how heavy and bulky it is with information and things like that. I think easily.
Yeah, well, I'm 100%. I don't know whether I'll with this being 22 issues long. I do not know if I'm going to be able to read this, catch up with all of the other House of X stuff.
Come on, Rich, commit to it.
I think I'll definitely try and get the 12 issues of House of X and Powers of 10, and obviously this is 10. It's 10 of Swords. I keep referring to it X of Swords, but it is 10 of Swords, because the other thing with this, which I wasn't expecting, and I should have expected it, was the whole that it's basically all to do with kind of tarot cards as well, which is.
Yeah, and I think the Grey Man said that the sword or something tarot in proper tarot thing means betrayal, which is very fitting, I think, for where this goes. Yeah,
I didn't see. I didn't really see that coming either, which was again a nice little payoff. You know, I like being shocked when I read something. That
I never trusted them from the beginning.
So yeah, it's pretty cool. But yeah, so that's number 2. So mate, here we go. We're coming up to joint pick, and it's a safe zone, Dino. It's a safe zone, Dino. So our pick is Venom 28. So Donnie Cates, Venom run. We can say Donnie Cates. Dino, I wasn't too sure whether we actually agreed on this one to be number 1, just purely because you knew you could like say Donnie Cates without putting in the pound jar.
That's why I picked it, man. I need a release, so I could just say Donnie Cates. I can't say it on my channel anymore, so I've got to say it somewhere. So I thought if I put this as number 1, I can go nuts right now.
Go nuts, man. So tell me about your thoughts on this issue, mate.
Again, I didn't enjoy the previous issue to this, so I expected more. But now that they're in that kind of alternative dimension or reality or whatever you want to call it, I was kind of like, I'm starting to disengage with this from the last one. And I expected more of this, but I got to be honest. Again, this is how you kind of write a comic book. You know, it was full of, action, a lot of stuff happening, a lot of reveals, man. This was just one reveal after another, and okay, people may have seen a few of those coming. I think I saw one of those reveals coming. Maybe had a suspicion about the other one, but wow, what a great book this has been. And for me, I think in conjunction with the last issue and how I felt about that to this, that's why this just pipped X of Swords for me to number 1. Because it has been consistently good. This one was again a great issue with those reveals. And it wasn't convoluted. It didn't have millions of years of history squeezed into 40 pages.
I think that's it with this. Is again, without like spoilers, you like the reveals and stuff. If anything, they ask more questions of the reader, don't they? Do you know what I mean? They ask more questions, or we as readers are asking more questions. So we kind of had a lot of questions that needed to be answered with like the new characters and things, and we get a certain element of that paid off in this one. But even still, we're kind of like trying to understand, well, where are they? What's going on? Who is this? And yes, we've got Null on the horizon, so I don't quite know how this is all going to tie into that.
No, and that to me is just, that's good writing. You keep people talking, you keep people asking questions, you keep people coming back for that next issue, and you keep hitting them with them surprises. And to me, that just, if you want that standout factor, that's something that you kind of went, oh, that's cool. This had it for me this week.
What do you think? I mean, because like for me, because I'm very conscious of the fact that we've only got like 2 more issues until we start, obviously, the King in Black, which is all about Null coming to Earth. But I don't know, because obviously we're in this book, we're in this alternate timeline, alternate reality, whatever it is. Are they almost like, is it going to be one of those things? And I hope it isn't, but like, are they going to be, they'll resolve whatever they've got going on in this alternate universe, get sucked back through into their, the proper Earth, and then they're going to get there and Null's just arriving kind of thing. And that's how we'll think that we've resolved everything from this. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, yay, happy, go home. And then all of a sudden Null's coming.
I think you might be right.
I can't really think it's any other way.
They're going to be cutting it very fine, I think. Like you said, if we've only got a couple of issues left now, they're going to be cutting it very fine by the time that they kind of hop back and deal with this. But again, who knows where it's going to go? Is Null going to be brought into that? Rather than I don't know. This at the moment, the man who I don't name. Who knows what he's going to be?
You can say
Who knows what Donnie Cates is going to do? I mean, and that's why I do love his writing, because he's great at that whole switcheroo. He'll have everyone talking about this and going this way, and then it goes that way, you know. And I love that.
Yeah. I mean, it was. Yeah, I do. I think for me,
you're predictable, Luke.
I thought you'd like that, but yeah, it's one of those ones where I think for me the part of the most exciting stuff that we've seen in these issues is this whole, you know, kind of like the symbiote army, you know, that sort of amassing, you know, with, you know, sort of like the kind of like this alternate Agent Venom that we saw obviously in there, and the people that are around there. I think that's really exciting, you know, like that everybody's got this like sort of symbiote armor,
including Cletus Cassidy as well.
Even Cletus Cassidy, yeah,
he's one of the good guys.
One of the good guys in this, and it's like, mind blown completely. But it's that whole thing again, not to say why in this alternate universe, because that's a bit of a spoiler, why things have gone the way that they've gone in this alternate universe, but it does tie in nicely with the whole you know, sort of Eddie and Dylan storyline and why they're important to each other and all that kind of stuff as well. So there are some quite wide themes going on here, and I yeah, like you say, mate, I think it's great. I think it's really enjoyable, fantastic.
Yeah, I think every even including the last issue, which I said like I didn't really enjoy fully. I every time I do read this, I kind of look forward to the next one. Yeah. And these days, I mean, we all read a lot of comics and stuff, but how many can you say that you actually read on your pull list and you really look forward to the next one?
Very true. Yeah, I mean, as I say, like yeah, vet for me, it's like going to be Venom every time at the moment. Thor every time at the moment. Everything else is, I mean, I'll always read Star Wars, but that's my like guilty pleasure. Like, do you know what I mean? I just love Star Wars, you know. But yeah, I mean, you know, other than that, there's probably, you know, I like Seven Secrets at the moment, and I'm looking forward to the next. We only find them when they're dead from an independent point of view. But yeah, everything else, I'm a bit, you know, I'm a bit take it or leave it at times, definitely.
And I think that's what's beautiful about Venom at the moment.
Yeah,
you know,
100%. Well, we've covered all of our books, and I just can't thank you enough. I think that's given us a really good. This is why, you know, when me and Tom are here, we've got like our own kind of thing going on. But to have
Tom who.
So yeah, but no, that's I think we've said between the two of us that, you know, being able to have guests like yourself, Dino, coming on is obviously amazing. So for yourself, if you want to, do you want to just say a little bit about what you've got going on your channel for the next week or so?
Oh, don't watch it, folks. Don't watch it. Never mind. It's rubbish. No, well, what we got going on this week? We're live every Sunday at 8 p.m. UK time, 3 p.m. EST, 1 p.m. PST for our American friends, where we get together and we kind of talk about what the community have been collecting, and we usually talk about something topical that week. And we do bargain bin battles as well once a month, where we have a little competition to see who can pick up the best value for money when it comes to comic books. But and then there's other videos in between as well, and lots of people appear on there, including I can't go all the way around. Including you guys. You guys have been on there, and Luke and lots of other people in the community. But yeah, I'm not really selling it. Go and watch it. Just find out reason. Make your own mind up. Don't listen to what people tell you. Go find out. Same with these comic books. Go buy them and read them yourself.
I think that's it, guys. I think for me personally, it's like, you know, can't thank Dino enough, really. We found Dino's channel, again, doing similar stuff to what we wanted to get involved in, which is this whole, like, you know, there is a massive comic, there's a comic community in the UK that needs a bit more representation on YouTube. I mean, you know, all of your popular Americans are all at the top of the search results and stuff, and all us guys who have just recently started doing what we want to do in terms of building this community, we're slowly climbing up the rankings, and hopefully, you know, working together and having these guests and cross collaborations and everything, we're gonna, you know, that's what we're all about. So, you know, I think Dino will say the same. It's like, you know, if you are a YouTube creator out there that's to do with comics, get in touch with us, get in touch with Dino, come into this, you know, join us in the streams. You know, Dino will always have you on his show. We'll fit you in as well, because we're having more guests on our shows as well. And yeah, couldn't be better. It just feels really good at the moment, don't you think?
Yeah, I'm really proud of us all. I think we should all do a group hug. And you know, I am really proud of where we're going with it, you know, and in such a short space of time as well. It seems like it's only been over the last few months. And I think we should all be really proud of ourselves. You know, for something that was not really there before and is gaining quite a momentum. Yeah, I think you should all be really proud of yourselves.
No, it's happy. It's definitely happy days. So yeah, yeah, and there you go. So Hydra, thanks for sticking around, mate. In all honesty, Dino hosts a great show, and I'm proud to call him a friend. So there you go.
Oh, okay, coming soon to you, my friend.
That's it, man. So like, we can have a nice little on that positive, wonderful note of togetherness in the UK comic community. Thanks ever so much for watching us today. We'll be back on Tuesday. I think I've got a mail call opening video coming up over the weekend at some point. Do make sure that you subscribe to obviously us, Dino, and the other guys who've obviously appeared up in the chat as well. Really appreciate it. Obviously, we are all on social media as well, so you can find us all over on Twitter and Instagram and all the rest of it. And yeah,
it's just worth letting people know, Rich. I will be taking over Tom's Instagram's accounts as well from this point.
As well, yeah. We'll have to let him know. I'll let him know. I'll pass over the passwords to you as well, mate. It's all right. It's fine. But yeah, thanks ever so much, Dino. And on that note, I'm just going to say, obviously, take care from me. And obviously, we do have our wonderful Tom, who's on holiday. He always ends the show by saying, and I'll make sure that I've got the button lined up, or else I'll be here all day. But yeah, so see ya.